Hey everyone, welcome to Small Talk Sundays, where I just do some small talk on Sundays. And yes, it is Sunday this time. Alright, so, yeah, I kind of failed to keep up that Friday upload schedule thing, didn't I? Dagnabbit. Yeah, I kind of got caught up with the Firmament things, and yeah, I was kind of grinding those out, and I did get a placement. It wasn't the Saint of the Firmament, but it was a placement. I don't think I got a title for it yet. I'm not sure if I have to go anywhere to get that title, but I don't know if you get a title for being in the top 100. But I was like the 40th place in the Ultra Prime data center for weaving. Yes, I was making clothes, specifically a lot of awnings. So, yeah, that took a giant chunk of the week. I actually was not expecting it to take as much time as it did, because I was working on the intro to this other playthrough on the side. Yes, these things, oh my gosh, these introductions, like, I love them, but I also hate them. Because they are by far the things that take the longest for me to, like, actually complete or be satisfied with. The rest of the video, I just listen through and make sure nothing's, like breaking, like, you know, the sound, 0.0 dB. It's my main focus, and I just kind of play that on the background, and I stare at that meter the whole time. So I guess it's not really playing in the background then if I'm staring at it. But anyway, you get the point. Yeah, those intro bits, I put the most effort into them, and this one I'm putting more effort than the ones I did last time. At first, when I was going into that, I was like, man, not a lot happened. How am I going to make a minute worth of content here? Turns out it's going to be longer than all the other ones. So probably, maybe not the first one, but yeah, it's a work in progress. Hopefully it'll it should freaking get done. Dagnabbit. I hate having to say hopefully it'll get done. I want to be able to say with confidence that it should be done this week. Dagnabbit. My workflow is so terrible. Dang it. I suck. Oh yeah, speaking of that, that's a nice little segue into this. But I was recently shown this whole thing. I don't mean to do a reaction to a reaction video thing, but something about like the work to games thing, stuff about like reacting to a Reddit post about like why Final Fantasy 14 YouTubers suck, and it's kind of interesting as to why people would believe that. Like, I'm not gonna bash a person for believing it, because there's rhyme and reasons for all of it being in place. So the question at hand is something about how Final Fantasy 14 creators are always making the same things, stuff around like guides, stuff catering to casuals and sprouts. People trying to do comedic skits over like basically this job thing that they said was outdated after the first go. Like, it was only funny the first time, and basically stuff along those lines. And I'm sitting here thinking that why would that be? Why is that the case? And I thought about it for a bit, and I think it has something to do with a lack of resources. Now, the in-game resources that Final Fantasy XIV has for overall like creativity, like screenshots and whatnot, is way more intuitive than what World of Warcraft has. However, there is an issue that Final Fantasy XIV does not like third-party programs to be accompanied with their game. And that can be a problem, because in terms of to be able to like make creative works like solo, that's going to require tools. And the tools that I particularly have in mind, potentially, coming from WoW, are not available, because in World of Warcraft, there are people who do make their own little stories with characters and can like solo do stuff by themselves. They use a program called WoW Model Viewer, where they can rip any of the models from World of Warcraft and just like either slap a green screen behind the model and just record it, layer it on top of each other on their editing software of choice, or they can just rip the whole model altogether and put it into a 3D animation and or modeling software. And if they are adept with that software in any regard, they're able to like manipulate the whole freaking model to be able to have their own custom animations. So it's a very freeing on a content creator side for World of Warcraft. However, I tried seeing if Final Fantasy XIV had something similar, but I couldn't really find anything outside of a really lame browser version that doesn't really do a whole lot for you. And I can't really see myself ever using that software for what I had possibly in mind. So that's kind of an issue, because Final Fantasy XIV, it feels like it really likes fostering creativity. You have housing, you have these glamours, you have these cheapos, you have communities who are all about screenshots. And to me, that's kind of saying that I'm kind of getting the idea that Square Enix is really promoting the idea of creativity amongst their fan base. But the problem is in the YouTube scene, you're not really going to be able to get a whole lot done if you don't collaborate with a lot of people, so big group projects. But in World of Warcraft, people have way more access to the tools because, like I said, the WoW Model Viewer thing. People can do one-man whole skits, like, by themselves. But, yeah, tools like that is strongly lacking in the Final Fantasy XIV field. And I feel like if you're wanting more genuinely creative YouTube skits and works, whatnot, that's going to need to be a tool or something to be done in order for that to happen. I personally haven't seen that done, even though there probably is some things that have probably been done already, because I don't watch Final Fantasy XIV YouTubers, specifically because I'm trying to avoid YouTube recommending me Final Fantasy XIV stuff, which will probably have a spoiler in the thumbnail and or title. So, yeah. I am avoiding Final Fantasy XIV content in any and all regard if I possibly can to avoid the situation that I might get spoiled while on YouTube. And I'm on YouTube a lot. So I'm in that scenario. And the only reason why I knew about this little whole talk about the work to game thing is because someone shared it with me. So, yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like, though the in-game like tools are very good for like still images and screenshots and whatnot, doesn't do a whole lot for the video side of things because having to do video is very difficult. I have taken a shot at it with the unscripted thoughts, and I think I can do a bit more with it if I keep on working on that general direction and utilize more minions. But at the same time, it's a big hassle. It's a big hassle to do all that. But what I did with the little introduction for unscripted thoughts, that was just me pressing spacebar at the right time after aligning everyone in a certain position. But that was pretty tricky for me to get the right angles done and whatnot. But it was fun. It was fun getting that done. I was able to flex a little bit of creative side. So there are technical workarounds, but it's still limited because if you want to do like action-based stuff, that's going to be almost impossible to do solo, given the tools at hand. I can't think of a way to be able to do action-based stuff in the video format for Final Fantasy XIV. But let's see, other content that would be humorous. General comedy and humor in Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm just gonna be a bit of a prude a little bit and say that we live in the age of the internet, where I've come to believe that if the video doesn't have freaking like Gatorade levels of energy pumping through its veins at all times, you're gonna lose the interest of the audience. This is just me pulling from what I've gathered from roaming the internet long enough. That videos that tend to be super high energy all the time with lots of fast edits and getting points across very quickly tend to be more well received than normally like spoken, all these longer speech type of stuff. For instance, my playthroughs. That breaks a lot of the rules that I have established internally for making engaging quote-unquote content, because it is slow paced. It is very slow paced, and it doesn't have something crazy going on every 5 seconds or even 3 seconds or even 1.5 seconds, because that's another thing. Timing is really important with comedy. Also delivery. I think the current fad is over the top delivery with things. I think that's what tends to be going well on YouTube these days. And also sound balancing and quality. Sound is also very important when getting things to be funny and whatnot, but that also depends on the type of humor you're wanting, because sometimes you're going to want a very intentionally poor quality sound. There's a bunch of different things you can do with sound quality, but overall, just paying attention to sound quality and overall sound balance of everything. You don't want things to be too quiet and too loud. Music is really important. It's way more important than what you may think. It helps set the atmosphere and the mood, whereas if it's just the voice acting by itself, it makes a big difference between like what's there and like with and without the music. For instance, you can look at the edit done with the Star Wars throne room scene. There's a video out there. I think it was called like Star Wars minus Williams, the throne room. Yeah, I don't think it's the actual audio without the music, but you can definitely tell how big of an impact it is not to have music included into a certain clip. So do not underestimate the power of music. Then there's also the problem with copyright, and I just have to say good luck with that. I stick to video game music stuff because video game music stuff is, in general, just kind of the safe bet to go for including music. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of just going off like my personal little guide as to make entertaining videos and my general rule sets. When I was doing my first impressions videos and the unscripted thoughts, I don't think I had a still image longer than 5 seconds. Everything was cutting within like 3 to 5 seconds, and the jokes are also fast, and they don't last long. Like some of the jokes last 2 seconds, less than that, 3 seconds, and less than 3. The heart, less than 3. But when it comes to like delivering comedy like that, do not underestimate the power of the human mind. Always assume that the viewer pretty much has the knowledge of Sherlock Holmes, and they can like pick out things very quickly and almost instantaneously. So when you try to do comedy, don't linger on like a certain joke for too long. Like there's a reason like perfectly cut screams is a comedy thing going on. I don't know. I'm overanalyzing so much right now, but this is the kind of the stuff I just overanalyze every single thing I do. Dag nabbit. Well, except when I do these small talk Sundays. I just like blurt out whatever comes to mind. But that's kind of also the thing keeping this playthrough video back, because I'm also over analyzing the introduction to the videos. I need to stop with all that. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of just some of my tips, I suppose, to making an entertaining like YouTube video. Sound balance, timing, comedy, everything's like gotta be very well timed, fast paced. I don't know. Comedy is very subjective. Some people appreciate the super fast, like ADHD type of comedy stuff, which is kind of like what I was gearing my unscripted thoughts and the first impressions towards, because I don't know. I guess I have ADHD. I'm not entirely sure. I have a bit of a short attention span, but there are also other people who appreciate the subtle, dry humor and whatnot. People who like the subtle sarcasm and the stuff that isn't so in your face, the stuff that requires a little bit more thinking to get the joke. People tend to like that a little more. So it could be like all over the spectrum. Like when it comes to comedy is incredibly subjective, and whatever style he goes for, just go whatever you think is funny, and I'm sure someone else out there sees it funny too. Just try not to be too over the top, though. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I just going on with this? But yeah, why do Final Fantasy 14 YouTubers suck? I don't know. I don't watch them. So yeah, just answering that question from so long ago. Yeah. This was a long rant over things that I was not expecting to talk about today. Well, my throat's about pretty much giving out after all the ranting I'm done, because I'm also running very low on sleep. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna end the video there. And darn it, it's been a while since these things were uploaded on a Sunday. So, woo, on that regard, right? Alright, so I'm just gonna end the video here, because, I'm just going to keep on ranting for way too long at this point. So, yeah. Alright. Thank you all very much for watching and or listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful life. And don't click links. Alright. Take care, folks. Oh yeah, I also got a house in the lavender bed, so that's pretty cool too.